What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down what wide receivers should be working on this offseason, okay? So the first thing that we're going to be covering is you should be working on all three phases of the route, okay? So what does that exactly mean, and how can we actually do that? So there's three phases that go into every single route, from a hitch route to an 18 back to 15-yard comeback route. You got the stem, you have the break point, and then you have the acceleration out of the break, right? So what is the stem? What do I actually mean by that? So the stem is number one on every single route. What do you have to be doing? You have to be selling vertical. We have to be trying to make this DB think that I'm running past him, and how I can do that is with my speed, with my pad level, and with my eyes. Now, this is a textbook. This is a comeback route here from Jamar Chase, and this is textbook of exactly what you need to do to emphasize those three phases. So let's watch the thing full speed. So Chase comes out, selling fade, does a great job of selling with his speed, with his eyes, with his pad level, has that explosive break point, and then he accelerates back to the ball. But you cannot have step two or phase two and phase three of the route without phase one. They all tie in together. So phase one of the route, like I said, is selling fade. So how do we actually do that? Everybody talks about that everything's a fade till it's not. Everything's a go. How do I actually do that, though? You got to make sure that my eyes, number one, are straight forward. A lot of receivers, what they'll do is they'll start to turn to where they're going to break first, especially a lot of young wide receivers, and that's not selling vertical. And what they'll also do is that they will raise up their pad level. A DB who's in press coverage or in any kind of man coverage, hell, even in zone coverage sometimes where he's glancing, is he's going to be looking at your body language. He's supposed to be watching your hips, supposed to be reading your torso. So if right before the break point you start to raise up with your pad level, that's going to give an indicator to this DB that you are making a break. So that's how you also don't sell verticals. So no matter what you are doing this offseason to work on this with all the drills, whether you're just running full routes, you're doing one-on-ones, 7-on-7, you got to focus on those two things. And also you have to focus on being in full stride and running in full speed to the break point, right? This is where a lot of people struggle too as well. They don't run full stride. They'll get right up to the break point, and what they start to do is they start chopping their strides down. They shorten up their stride. So guess what? A DB's not going to feel that speed. He's not going to feel you going deep. So what is he going to do? He's going to sit right on the route. So we have to make sure I am in full stride. My pad level is committed going forward, or my shoulders and my hips are committed going forward, and my eyes are going forward. So now that brings me into phase two. So the only way that you are able to change direction while doing phase one correctly is by having a violent movement at the top of the break. So phase two, the break point, that's the energy creation phase, right? So what I mean by that is that you have to drop violently into the break. You actually have to drop your butt down. You have to drop your hips. You got to try to bring your chin to your knee, because this position right here is how you create energy. Think of it like a 40-yard dash. When you run a 40-yard dash, that first 10 yards is supposed to be what? It's supposed to be explosive. That they call it your drive phase, right? So the last 30, you could have that acceleration. So you want to think of that break point as like the drive phase. I want to get low. I want to get explosive. I want to be powerful at the top of the break. So when I get to my 30 yards of the 40, aka phase three of the route, I'm in a position that will generate force to get me out of the break and widen the distance with this DB. This is route running. This is every single route, fellas. This is what you have to be emphasizing. So that's exactly what Chase does. He gets low, gets in that explosive position, and what does he do? Now it's time for phase three. Let's accelerate, aka winning the race back to the ball, and he does that very well because he set himself up in that explosive position at the top of the route. Let's watch the thing full speed one more time, then we'll get into the next thing that you guys want to work on to be able to cut off of one foot and make that explosive speed cut rather than dropping your hips. So let's watch the thing full speed. Great job by Chase. All three phases of the route are covered here. It is not about what the DB does right. It is about what we do wrong. That's how we have to think as wide receivers. Okay, so now we're going to be getting into what you can do to improve your single cuts at the top of the break. But before we get into that, fellas, there are a lot of different things that you can do as a wide receiver this offseason to work on these aspects, right? You just can't go out there and run full speed routes with no training, no leg strength, no speed and explosiveness work. So check out that very first link below if you want a 12-week-long workout schedule for wide receivers in the gym to improve those specific aspects that will translate to on-field play. As a wide receiver, you don't want to train like a bodybuilder. Yes, you need to do exercise to get you bigger if that's something that you need to do, but you can't neglect explosiveness work to get you faster, one-legged exercise, balance, ankle stability, knee stability. All that kind of training that will translate to on-field play is what you need to be emphasizing, and that's what we include in this 12-week workout plan. So if you guys want some more information on our 12-week wide receiver gym workout plan, we have all the exercise mapped out for you on a daily basis with sets, repetitions, rest periods, conditioning days, and rest days. Check out that very first link in the description below. It's everything you need in the gym if you are a wide receiver. Very first link below. Like I said, let's get back to this video. So now, being able to cut off of 1 foot comes down to one thing. And with your route running, you want to make sure that we are emphasizing this. So a lot of you guys do a lot of cone drills, a lot of cutting drills. And sometimes what receiver coaches will do is that they'll set up cones like 5 yards apart, right? Like they'll just have receivers go back and forth, running through, whatever. The cones will be 5 yards apart, obviously not in that pattern that I drew up there, but it doesn't translate to on-field play. So the second thing that you need to be emphasizing this offseason is doing drills that require you to have to move at a game speed pace, okay? So yes, you want to build ankle stability, knee stability, leg strength. That all applies. But when you're doing drills, you should never restrict your stride. You should never be trying to have these quick movements when it comes to cutting, because when you're running a route, you got to be able to be an efficient route runner, be able to put your foot in the ground at 10, 15 yards downfield and be able to get out of the route. And not everybody can do that, and it's because you are training incorrectly. You are doing the incorrect things. You should never be doing a drill that won't help you translate into a game. If you have a trainer, you should ask him, hey, how does this translate to a real game? How does this actually apply to a real game situation? When am I going to have to use this? And if he can't answer that question, you shouldn't be doing the drill, because that's not how you train for football. You got to put yourself in situations where you're able to run full speed, be able to make this cut downfield. Look at how far he's running this route. This is about a 10 to 12 yard route, and he's breaking off of one single step, right? Now the mechanics apply here, right? See how the cut's inside of his frame. He's striking the ground on the arch. His upper body is committed to the cut. His shoulders and his hips aren't leaving before the cut gets in the ground. This is the position that we want to try to work on and want to try to shoot for. So if you guys are doing cone drills, for example, like I'll set up cones for my receivers and we'll set up 3 cones in this pattern. So I'll have them take 3 steps here, 3 steps here, and then maybe one more cone at the top, 3 steps up, and then they end up running it like an out route concept, and I'll give them a ball. But these cones that I set up, the cone here, 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 and here, those are all about 5 to 7 yards apart. So receivers don't feel like they need to restrict their stride, because what that does is that builds on this specific concept where you have to put your foot in the ground going full speed, selling fade, selling vertical, like we talked about in the phases of the route clip that we showed. That's what translates, fellas. So that's the second thing you need to be emphasizing this offseason, is understand that you have to do game realistic drills that translate to on-field play where you can cut on a dime, make a one-legged cut, and build that ankle and knee stability. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job breaking off of 1 foot here, being sudden, keeping the cut under your frame, and getting out of this route. So last but not least, you guys, one thing that you need to emphasize this offseason as a wide receiver is your football IQ. So a lot of people don't even know what this means for a wide receiver, right? Wide receiver IQ. And a lot of guys just go out there and run routes. A lot of guys just think that every single situation they face, oh, for this route, I need to do this move. For this route, I need to do this press release. That is not the case. Everything depends on this DB's leverage and the play that you have called and the timing of the play that you have called, right? So on this specific route, we have a corner route against outside shade. This is how you guys can get better mentally. You look at these different clips of maybe teams that you're going to play this year, maybe clips on my page, and you try to think about, okay, if I was faced with this situation, what's something I like to do? What's a move that I know that I could use on this case, right? And you got to make sure that we are doing that football IQ work, because again, you could go out there 6 days a week and do all the drills, all the footwork drills, run all the routes, but if you don't know when to apply the specific moves and the specific techniques and how to beat coverages, you're not going to be able to translate it to infield play. So watch this route here. So this is like a textbook. A lot of people say the outside breaking route like a corner route, you must take an outside release. Incorrect, because the DB's outside leverage, so he's going to take away the outside. His goal is to force you inside because he has help there. So let's play at full speed. So this receiver does a great job of taking the inside, restacking, running this route, getting back over the top. That's exactly what we need to do in this case. You do not need to force anything. So make sure, fellas, that we understand coverages, understand how to beat coverages. Number one, that is something that all receivers need to work on. If you want to be a successful wide receiver, you look at guys like Edelman, you look at guys like Travis Kelce. I know he's a tight end, but those guys are ex-quarterbacks, and they get the ball so often. When he played, obviously, they get the ball so often because they know where to sit in coverages. They know how to get open. They know what's going to work against each specific thing. I've seen it time and time again, fellas. That with the guys that I train, like we talk more about situational football than we do drills, because I'm not going to have you do. And obviously, for the younger guys, it's a little bit different. It's more about building good habits. But when you get a guy in college, dude, he's got leg strength. He's got explosiveness. It's about cleaning up the details of the position and letting him know when to use it. And then I've seen the opposite end of the spectrum. Guys will work their tail off doing drills, working super hard, and then in a game they freeze because they don't know what to do against specific coverages. You have to make sure that we apply route running work, on-field work, and mental work this offseason. Let's watch it again, full speed. Great job taking the inside release here on this DB who's outside shade, showcasing that there's more than one way to run a route against a specific good coverage. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Always appreciate the feedback from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like a 12-week wide receiver gym workout schedule, everything you need to do this offseason in the gym, check out that very first link below. I'll see you guys next time.